Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Illegal miners invade a Sinanyo Forest Reserve barely days after sustained public calls for an end to the illicit activity. Also coming up, opposition NDC and Electoral Commission on collision cause over credibility of voters' register as both sides take entrenched positions on whether there should be an audit of the electoral roll or not. Meanwhile, presidential and parliamentary aspirants who are yet to file their nominations have until close of day to do so. And much later on the program, leading NPP member Kennedy Japan warns Kintampo North constituent there will be no development in the area if they fail to vote for his party. Very much for joining us today. Let's start off from politics, and the opposition NDC and the Electoral Commission are on a warpath this afternoon over the sanctity of the voters' register after the election management body flatly refused a request by the largest opposition party for a forensic audit of the country's electoral roll. The National Democratic Congress has maintained that the voters' register, as we have it, is riddled with challenges which could cause major disenfranchisement come December 7, hence a demand for an independent forensic audit to correct all anomalies. The Electoral Commission, on the other hand, insists that all such errors have been corrected. Addressing a news conference yesterday, the Deputy Commissioner Samuel Tete questioned the NDC's sudden interest in the integrity of the voters' register when the party did not do so in 2016 when the register had worse issues. Listen.
The Commission strongly believes that the surest way to attaining a credible and robust register is not through demonstrations. There is simply nothing to demonstrate about. This is because the Commission has repeatedly requested the data on discrepancies from the NDC to no avail. We are of the view that the stance taken by the NDC will not produce a credible register. The Commission is of the view that the best place to resolve the issues they have identified is the discussion table. We urge them to submit details of the discrepancies they have identified to enable the Commission investigate the issues and demonstrate to them that the concerns they have been resolved. As indicated earlier, the EC assured the NDC during the meeting that it would conduct a thorough investigation and report on the issues they had detected within a week. Why are they refusing to submit the data to enable the EC to investigate and provide a report? The EC believes that the best way to ascertain the credibility and integrity of the 2024 voters register is the discussion table, not on the streets. Taking to the streets will not ensure a credible register. It will only cause tensions and suspicions, which are unwarranted.
So that was Christian Tete there, Samuel Tete with the Electoral Commission answering questions on a threat by the opposition NDC to hit the street come September 17. Well, that's a demonstration that has already been approved by the police administration. But let's hear the EC on what is said about the credibility of the current voters register.
Look, this is not the first time a political party called for audit of the register. So if my good friend, Mr. Tete, stated in their press statement press conference that the register has never been audited, I mean, that cannot be the case. In 2012, there was an audit of the register through the UNDP in 2015 when Dr. Baumia was banding the 80,000 Togolese in our register and was doing press conferences upon press conferences and showing data upon data of Togolese in our register. A 5-man committee headed by Justice Crabb was mandated to go into the matter. That was an audit, to audit the data and to be sure that the right informations were put in the register. That was an audit. So today, if Tete is saying the register has never been audited since 1992, that can never be the case. So Mr. Tete cannot stand here today and tell us that, of course, this is the first time are we taking interest in register. We take that one as an insult.
We take that one as an insult. Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, Samuel Tete there. We're joined by Maka Wisi Arko, his convener at Election Watch. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. We just lost him there. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. It's some 7 minutes past the hour 12. When we come back, we'll tell you more about what's happening with our Galamsey fight.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302 200 390 or 0596 928 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
3FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
And this is still the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Now, some small-scale miners at Bogoso in the Western region say the call for the ban on small-scale mining should focus on surface mining and not underground. This follows the heightened call across the country for the total ban on small-scale mining. Irama Smith has been interacting with some small-scale miners, and she'll be joining us very shortly. But ahead of that, Chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Beatrice Adu, is urging civil society organizations and well-meaning Ghanaians to sustain the media campaign to end all forms of illegal mining activities in the country.
It is not really true that, it is only people who are sitting in the city who have a problem with it. We all have a problem with it. Recently, you saw there was a place in the Eastern region. They came together.
The community.
Yes, they chased the people away. So it's not that the awareness is not there. It's just that sometimes people feel, people don't feel empowered.
It's taken quite a bit for that awareness.
It doesn't matter. It's happening now.
It's better late than never.
It's happening now, and we just need to build this momentum and not lose it. We have to keep the momentum and not lose it. More communities have to stand. The leaders, the traditional authority, and the people of the community must stand and say, no, we are not doing this.
Will this go anywhere when we hear that the people who are supposed to lead us are themselves engaged in this?
But the people who are supposed to lead us, who made them leaders? Who made them? We made them leaders. We cannot make them leaders. We can ensure that whoever is leading us will do what we want them to do. We have not used our power properly. Look, when you say that, people say, what's the point of leadership? It's true. Ideally, you must have a certain type of leadership whereby, things don't go so way out of hand. But if that does not happen, it doesn't mean that we, the citizens, must just sit down and...
And you heard Kathleen Adi. She is the NCCE boss. We stay a bit longer on this because even in the wake of the renewed calls for a ban to be placed on all forms of small-scale mining activities to halt the continuous pollution of water bodies and destruction of the environment, new illegal mining sites keep emerging. The latest forest reserve to be invaded by these illegal miners is the Asenenyo Forest Reserve within the Inkaria Forest District of the Ashanti region. In just 5 days, more than a hectare of the forest has been destroyed with excavation works. Ibrahim Abubakar has been following the story. He joins us live on the line. Ibrahim, certainly quite disturbing situation there, I guess, but how far have the miners gone with the destruction of the forest beyond what I just mentioned about more than a hectare of the forest being destroyed?
So, Beatrice, currently you get to the compartment 147 of the Asenenyo Forest Reserve, you realize that hundreds of trees have been cut down illegally just to pave way for a mining activity that is not even licensed. Now, this is a forest reserve that the Forestry Commission has invested a lot, but now is being destroyed. They have planted more trees just so we'll be able to mitigate the effect of climate change and also save the environment. But now, almost all these trees have been cut down. Now, officials even on Monday had to back off when they went to the site because the miners were armed to the teeth. So they just went there after hearing a tip-off, but they couldn't access their own forest. And in fact, the situation is not even only peculiar to the Asenenyo Forest Reserve, but you go to the Jimira Forest Reserve, which is the Nkwantin area within the same Nkaria Forest District, and illegal miners have taken over. Now that forest reserve is even a no-go area for the forestry officials. And all the trees planted between 2021 and 2022 have been cut down. Now, the Nkaria District Forest Manager, Abraham Etsel, says the current attack on their forest reserve will rather need a collaborative effort to end it.
We are the
custodians of the land. We will ensure that the caretaker chief of this area will be held liable and face the appropriate punishment for allowing this illegality to go on.
Bibi Koso, no be moment the best Flabontin Betty, Bacache Uradia, may so say you were on fan one channel.
And Nadia, you better not happen so china, Amasadi Yakoso. We will not allow this destruction to continue. We have directed the forest-free communities to be alert and inform us anytime someone enters the forest illegally.
And we just had some traditional leaders there. Let's now listen to the man Ibrahim Abubakar introduced earlier, and then we'll continue our conversation with Abubakar.
Illegal mining has been a bane on sustainable forest management, and the modus operandi of the perpetrators in recent times is scary. In fact, it's life-threatening. They first come and secure the area at the night, and then they secure with heavily built, armed gas. And so by the time you wake up and you want to enter into the reserve, they have already secured the entrances to the reserve, and so you cannot enter. So that is the level of destruction or impunity which people are now perpetrating the crime. And so it calls for collective effort. What they are doing has even moved from the forestry point of view to a security issue. You come to the forest and you see heavily built guys wielding offensive weapons, machetes and stuff like that. This is not a forestry matter, it's a security matter. Forest management in Ghana has shifted from the government-led system to community government approach. And so we are calling on the community and all stakeholders, Nananom in particular, who are the custodians of the land, to help us in our effort to address the illegal mining menace within the Nkaria Forest District.
And you just had a representative of the Forestry Commission. Ibrahim Abubakar is still on the line with us. Ibrahim, just remind us again who Ibrahim Etsel is.
So Ibrahim Etsel is the Nkaria District Forest Manager.
And what more is being done? Because I heard him talk about the need for all of us to come together to deal with this. Now we've identified a new quote-unquote Galamsey area. What is being done?
Well, so now they are involving the traditional authorities because they said initially they had to involve dissect. They couldn't solve the issue. Dissect too claims it's beyond them. So they have also informed the Regional Security Council to come in and bring an end to this menace. But the Forestry Commission, they have taken another step by involving the custodians of the land who are the traditional authorities, so that they will talk to residents in these current fringe communities to assist them. Because if these residents decide they will not allow anyone entry into the forest, it will be difficult for these miners to have access. So that is where they've gotten to, and that's what the traditional authorities, they have pledged their support. And we are just hoping that this shouldn't be the usual rhetoric that has been ongoing. So now they are just hoping, banking all their hopes on the traditional authorities to help them curb this menace.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar, reporting live from the Ashanti region.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
And some 16 minutes past the hour of 12. This is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. The breaking news coming in from the Information Ministry. Interministerial Committee has been formed to address the illegal mining issue. Now, let me just read that statement coming from the Information Minister, Fatimatu Abubakar. Very short statement. It says, on the instruction of the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, an interministerial committee has been set up to engage all stakeholders to assess the government's effort in dealing with illegal mining in Ghana. The 5-member committee is led by and there are bullet points here up to 5, National Security Minister Albert Kandapa, who is going to be the chairperson of this 5-member committee. Other members of the committee are Minister for Land and Natural Resources Samuel Abujinapo, also Minister for Defense Dominic Nitiwul, Minister for Employment, Labour Relations and Pensions Ignatius Bafwewa, and also Minister for Information Fatimatu Abubakar. If you're just joining us, the breaking news coming in is that the President has set up a 5-member committee to deal with the current illegal mining issue. There's a statement signed by the Information Minister Fatimatu Abubakar, and this is to assess the government's effort in dealing with illegal mining in Ghana. Let me run you through the names of those on this 5-member committee, which is led by the National Security Minister Albert Kandapa, and the members are Minister for Land and Natural Resources Samuel Abujinapo, Minister for Defense Dominic Nitiwul, Minister for Employment, Labour Relations and Pensions Ignatius Bafwewa, and Minister for Information Fatimatu Abubakar. 5-member committee headed by the National Security Minister Albert Kandapa. I was telling you earlier about Galamsey activities as well in the Western region, and the fact that small-scale miners at Bogoso in that region are also saying that the call for the ban on small-scale mining should focus on surface mining and not underground. Irama Smith has been interacting with some of them and joins us via video call. Irama, what is the difference really between the two, and why are they calling for a ban on one and not the other really?
Right, so the underground is when they dig very narrow tunnels deep into the ground, and that's where they go to mine, as compared to those who actually mine on the surface. You see the land destroyed, you see the water bodies totally very turbid and all that. So that is the difference. But both cause havoc because some civil society organizations, environmental civil society organizations, have expressed worry about the impact of even underground mining. There are visuals of trees which you can tell that the roots have been affected and can fall at any moment. And such things are very, very rife in forest areas. You see the tree standing there with a very dense forest area, but when you get closer, you realize that most of them are not really strong, as beneath them have been dug up for mining purposes. So both of them are causing havoc. But these small-scale miners are saying that they would prefer that the ban is on those who do the surface mining and not necessarily those who actually go underground, because they think that when you don't see it, then everything is all right.
My mine said Jumano by 25 years in. Now underground Jumana may. I mean, who is underground Jumana there? And say, as I say, and then so and say, ensue. And it's almost enjoy mine.
I have been mining underground for the past 25 years, and it doesn't adversely affect the environment. It is rather those who mine on the surface and the water bodies who are causing havoc.
Indications are clear.
The call for the ban is in the right direction. As I speak to you, there's a water body just behind here. Within less than a month, the river and its banks have been totally destroyed by galamsees.
The level of damage cost has in an order.
There is a need for the political parties to unite to make the fight against galamsey successful. No matter what, the youth can survive without galamsey. We can also demarcate areas for mining.
In the forest,
Ram, I'm just wondering whether this is the general posturing of the people there or there are some other views?
They are arguing that if there is a total ban on both the surface and the underground, then a lot of people will be rendered jobless, which is not good, and that government needs to provide other employment avenues. There are, however, those who also think that galamsey should not be the only source of revenue or source of employment for the youth. They believe that even without the small-scale mining, the youth will survive. They are also advocating that maybe there should be some demarcated areas that this practice can be done.
I agree with them that there should be a ban on mining in the water bodies, but underground mining should be allowed in order not to render people jobless. As a country, we should all decide to put a stop to it. However, there's a need to create more job opportunities because many of the youth have resorted to it for lack of employment.
Because of it is.
And you heard there some small-scale miners. Earlier you heard our Western Region correspondent, Rama Smith. Let's return to that story about that tussle between the Electoral Commission and the opposition NDC about the credibility of the voters' register and that threat to go on a demonstration come September 17. Joined by Dr. Ali Nyaba. He's a senior political science lecturer at the KNUST. Good afternoon to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Doc, 3 months to the country's general election and there's a tussle over the credibility of the electoral roll. How do we build trust in the system?
Thank you so much. You see, it's not new for opposition parties to be skeptical about the EC towards every general election, but it looks like it is gradually getting worse as the elections go by, and it's something we really have to make a conscious effort to find a permanent resolution going forward.
Permanently deal with it going forward. How so? Especially when you have Electoral Commission having its entrenched position as well as the opposition. EC says there's no need for any forensic audit because what we have is credible. NDC disagrees. How do we then deal with it?
Yes, I don't think they have extreme positions as you have said. The EC is requesting for the norm to be done, and the norm is that there's an internal audit that usually identify these. When the discrepancies are come up, they identify them and then the EC tries to find a resolution. Because of the mistrust for the EC, the NDC is asking for a forensic audit that is seemingly coming from outside the Electoral Commission to perform that responsibility. But you see, having spoken about extreme positions, I think it was necessary that we get to this point, because if you notice, the EC is gradually softening its stance and is asking the NDC to rather come to the table instead of demonstrating, because, we all do not want to create tension the lead up to the elections, because the demonstration across the 16 countries, the 16 regions is going to create an impression of mistrust among the general public, and that is not healthy towards the election. So what I think going forward we should look at is the both parties, especially the NDC, should go to the table, go to the rooms, like the Electoral Commission is saying. The demonstration will not necessarily correct the register. They need to go to the grounds, sit on the table, discuss with the Electoral Commission, suggest ways that the internal processes, if it is feasible, can correct the discrepancies on the voters register instead of the demonstration. I don't think that is healthy for us as a country.
Thank you very much. Here, Dr. Ali Nyaba, a senior science lecturer, political science lecturer, KNUST, now board chairman of Ghana Gas. Kennedy Japan has threatened to withdraw his support from the government's intention to build an astroturf for residents of the Kintampo North constituency if they fail to vote for the NPP in this year's election. Speaking to residents of the constituency at a campaign rally, the legislator accused the people of treating his party unfairly.
You don't vote, yet you're always demanding development. I am the chairman. Ghana Gas can construct the astroturf for you. I will not do it because you accept everything, but you don't vote. So I won't bring it. If you don't vote for MPP, we won't also do it.
And you had the board chairman of the Ghana Gas company, Kennedy Japan. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM and 92.7. Now it's the last day for presidential aspirants to file their nomination, a decisive step that may see them occupy the highest seat of the land. That's the presidency. Out of 33 aspirants who picked forms, 15 of them have successfully submitted their forms. Noble Crosby Annan is there for us, joins us live on the line. Noble, bring us up to speed as regards what's happening.
Beatrice, so about 17 people have so far filed their nominations. There's a number more to go with 23 people to cumulatively file their nominations after that number picked up forms, but we do not know whether all of them will file their nominations. The last to file their nomination before we are speaking right now, PNC's Bernard Mona. He was in the company of his chairman and running mate of the party, and all the aspirants very confident of victory. Today we've seen some independent candidates, I should say, they add up to the number of independent candidates who have already come to file their nominations wanting to become president of the country.
Thank you very much, Noble Crosby Annan. And that's it for the news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry opposes calls to ban bitumen import to avert avenue for monopoly.
As we speak now, we don't want any artificial shortage or monopoly over the industry.
Also, Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, joins calls for immediate ban on all forms of illegal mining to preserve the country's natural resources for future generations.
GUTA share in the same sentiment with already a sentiment that has been shared by stakeholders. So we're calling for a ban so that we can have an effective monitoring, effective valuation of the activities of miners. And that's what we've been calling for. But when we look at the impact on our economy, it has a negative effect. Or look at the children that are born in those areas, in those communities, in those regions. The defect, the impact that is having on children and mothers and in our waters.
Also, banks urge to restore public trust after financial sector turbulence. We'll hear from Chief Executive of the Association of Banks, warning financial sector to set to face major dramatic evolutions.
Share markets, as we know today, will continue to evolve, with some changes projected to be quite dramatic.
I am Michael Ogbodu. I'll bring you details of our headlines and more shortly. Please stay. Thank you so much for your time, and straight to our top story. The Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry has opposed a proposal to ban the importation of bitumen into the country. This follows a call by the Chief Executive of GOIL PLC during the commissioning of the $40 million African bitumen terminal and production plant in Tema, which is expected to produce high-quality bitumen locally. This report has more. The joint venture between GOIL PLC and Côte d'Ivoire's Société Multinationale de Bitumen (SMB) has the capacity to produce 7,500 metric tons of premium bitumen. At the plant's launch, GOIL CEO Kwame Osei-Prempeh urged the government to consider legislation banning bitumen imports to maximize revenue from local production.
We humbly request that a policy that requires road contractors to source their bitumen products locally be put in place and enforced.
CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, welcomed the coming to fore of the plant.
With the emergence of oil coming to the market, I believe it's a welcoming news that we must all applaud them for. So we welcome them into the market.
However, he has raised concerns over the idea of a complete ban on imports.
You should start production first. Start feeding the industry before you start calling for legislation or regulation. You see, as we speak now, we don't want any artificial shortage or monopoly over the industry. We experienced this in the cement sector for some time ago. Now that thankfully we have a number of manufacturers which has a bit bring sanity within the system. Even this, we are having challenge.
So that was the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, ending that report. Now, away from that, the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, has joined calls on the government to ban all forms of illegal mining in the country, otherwise known as galamsey. In a press statement, the association expressed the need to drive economic development in Ghana by ensuring that the country's natural resources are used judiciously and preserved for the benefits of the future generations. Public Relations Officer of GUTA, Joseph Paddy, has been speaking to 3 Business.
GUTA share in the same sentiment with already a sentiment that has been shared by stakeholders. So we're calling for a ban so that we can have an effective monitoring, effective valuation of the activities of miners. And that's what we've been calling for. But when we look at the impact on our economy, it has a negative effect. Or look at the children that are born in those areas, in those communities, in those regions. The defect, the impact that is having on children and mothers and in our waters, even the waters that we drink. So it's a good idea. But I think what we see here is that there are no political wills to fight this galamsey mining. So what we're looking for is authorities must rise up. And then as stakeholders, we also agree that there must be a temporary ban on it so that we regulate and monitor the activities of those who are doing the right thing.
That was Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, Guta Joseph Pardy, speaking. Now, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks is calling on industry members to work diligently to restore public trust following the turbulence caused by the banking sector cleanup and the domestic debt exchange program. Speaking on the evolution of the financial markets, he stressed the importance of embracing innovation while maintaining the banking sector's role as the custodian of trust and confidence, urging members to rebuild credibility in a rapidly changing landscape.
We've navigated through regulatory mazes, weathered the DDP storm, survived the banking sector cleanup, and faced a post-pandemic world where customer choices and behaviors have shifted in ways we could never have imagined. The financial markets as we know today will continue to evolve, with some changes projected to be quite dramatic. The human touch we've relied on will increasingly give way to a higher level technological twist, and before long, we'll be using our eyes more often for financial transactions than our hands. We must embrace innovation while holding fast to our role as the custodians of trust and confidence in the financial markets. At the heart of every financial transaction is trust.
Johnny Hua is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks. Now, the African Startups and SMEs in Export and Trade Secretariat ASET has called on the government and financial institutions to adopt lower lending rates similar to those in other parts of the continent to foster the growth of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. SMEs, which make up the majority of businesses in Ghana, face significant challenges due to high borrowing costs, with the country's monetary policy rate at 29%, one of the highest in West Africa. Speaking at a summit organized by ASET, team lead Peter Adeto emphasized that without access to more affordable funding, Ghanaian businesses will struggle to remain competitive in the sub-region.
I think we should see it as an opportunity to be part of success stories for businesses and for the continent as a whole. If the banks or the financial institutions, when it comes to funding, can really look at the situations of SMEs, especially because really they hold the economy across the world. They hold the economy. Over 80% of businesses around the world are SMEs. And they don't move the economy. They employ the most. It's not the government sector. And so once we know that we are supporting the business will go further to employ people, feed more people, take more people out of poverty, and bring economic growth across the region. So I believe that once we can learn from the other countries. You have other countries who are giving loans at 0%, 1%, 2%. We can learn.
So that was Peter Adeto. He is the team lead at the African Startups and SMEs in Export and Trade Secretariat, speaking to 3 Business on the sidelines of a summit organized by his outfit. And that will be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.